Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is a handover video of the Elddis Majestic 155. So as we start the walk round on the driver's side of the motorhome first, the first point you get to is your battery locker. So your battery locker opens with the tri-mark key here, which is the West Ally key, should I say. And that goes in here, unlocks this locker, and in here you have one leisure battery and your hookup point. So if you're charging it at home, you hook it up this way, or if you're on a site, you hook the vehicle up via your mains 230 volt connection. So what you do is you get the hookup lead, you want to lift the lid off it and you want to slide it onto the vehicle first. Once you've put it onto the vehicle, you can then connect the other side to the live electrics, and always do it this way so that you're never walking around with a live lead. Should you be going away and you're lucky enough to keep this at home, a few days before, you want to hook it up, put your fridge on and allow this to get down to temperature, and also it'll charge your leisure battery. So to fill the vehicle with fresh water, this is your fresh water filling point, and it's a wheel connection. So what you need is your wheel hose with your square end this end, which clips onto here, and the other end that connects onto the tap, and you do have this end as well, which screws onto the brass tap, which is normally supplied by the site. Clip it on and you'll be able to fill the water. When releasing, if you just push the two blue clips in at the bottom of the block, you'll be able to safely remove the connection. You can also get this to go to a pump, which you will need to buy. Just in case you can't get to a hose pipe, you can bring a bucket of water, drop the other end into the container, the aqua roll, and it'll suck the water up, but it will still have this connection to connect onto the side of the vehicle. To drain it off, there's a blue tap underneath here, and this is your fresh water drain tap. So in the winter, it's very important that you allow all water out of the vehicle so that it doesn't freeze and cause any damage when we're experiencing frost. But if you've taken on a source of contaminated water, or you're simply not using the vehicle for a short period of time, you can just open it up and allow the water out of the motorhome. And like I say, in the winter you want to make sure that this is fully drained down and left open so no water can freeze. Truma cover. So your Truma cover, when heating the water on gas, the cover needs to come off. If you're heating it on electric, it can stay on, but on gas it must come off because it's blocking the flue, so the exit for the fumes. So put one hand on the top, one finger and thumb in the bottom there, and you'll be able to take it off. Keep this in the driver's door pocket, and then when you get in to drive away, just put the cover back on. But that does need to come off when operating on gas. Any other source, such as electric, it can stay on. Two fridge vents. Got some storage underneath your back bed here, so you can store your deck chairs, your bits and pieces that you want to take with you when you go away in here. On the back of the vehicle, you do have your high level brake light, two Fiamma bike rack, so it takes two bikes. So pull this down, and what you'll be able to do is put your bikes on the rails through the bike wheels, tying the spokes down. First bike and second bike through the crossbars to hold the top of the bike, and always have the bikes opposite ways, so one handlebars to the passenger side and one handlebars to the driver's side, and it means you get both bikes on. Then we do recommend that you put some sort of bike lock around the bikes and the frame, just so that they stay on the back of the van when the van's left unattended. So this is your toilet system. So your toilet system has a separate header tank. So the separate header tank is located just above the toilet, and this is your flush liquid. So what you've got to do here is you've got to fill this tank with liquid, otherwise when you press the flush of the toilet you're not going to get anything if this is empty. So what you would do is, if you're buying the bottles of liquid, you're buying the pink and the blue. The pink is for the header tank. So you would put a small amount of pink liquid in, which is a ball cleaner and a neutralizer for smells and things, and then fill the rest up with water. So what I would do is carry a hose pipe not a hose pipe, a watering can or a jug with you in the vehicle. Put so much pink in, so much water, and then tip it in, and then wait until it fills. If it starts to fill just into the rim of this cap here, it's full, and then you'll be able to lock that. And you'll know when it goes empty, because when you're flushing there'll be very little liquid left, and you'll know it's near enough. And underneath, this is your cassette, so this is where everything ends up. It's got a sog on, which is a ventilation system, so it vents from the outside. So to get the cassette out, you need to lift the yellow cap, just where my fingers are here, so lift that up, slide it out. You'll see that this hose from the ventilation filter is connected to the top of the cassette. So you want to pull that off, and just cable tied around the top there is a plug. So you put that on just to stop anything coming out this side of the cassette. Then you'll be able to lift it out. You can carry it to your waste disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet and shower block on site. And then to empty, you want to remove the cap, put the cap to one side, start to pour the cassette there, and you can see there's some pink water coming out because that's from the flush. And as you're pouring, just press the button at the back. It allows a bit of air in, it gives it a consistent flow when tipping it out. Once you've tipped it out, rinse it out, because there's normally a tap there, so a little bit of water, rinse, cap full of chemical, blue, into here. Take the plug back off, put the SOG connection back onto the cassette and slide it back into the vehicle. Always make sure the blade on the bottom bowl of the toilet, on the pedestal of the toilet, is closed. If it's open, you'll not get the cassette out, it won't move. But I'll talk more about that when we're inside the vehicle. Similar to the blue tap, you've got a grey tap. This is your dirty water. So this is any water that you've used. So dishes, anything that you've put down a plug hole, shower, hand basin. On the way out of your site, there's normally a bay that you would drive over, a grid. Sometimes it's just as close to the gully or hedge as possible. And you would just crack this open, and you want to allow this water out. You've got no reason to drive water in the wastewater tank, because all you're going to do is you're going to take weight out of your payload, because it's now got water in there, so you're a little bit heavier, and it's going to use more fuel. So get rid of that before you leave your site, and you'll be able to optimize on your consumption and your payload. And in the winter, make sure it's left open so water doesn't freeze and drained off. External TV connection point. So if you're on a super site, carry yourself a length of coax, connect to this aerial on the bollard at the back of the pitch, inside the van, and then you can use their aerial instead of yours on the top of the roof of the van. And that's more for your hard to reach places normally offer that service, but it just depends whether you can get a signal on your aerial or you want to use theirs. You've got an awning there, so an F45 awning. Your habitation door opens with the round habitation key, and then you've got this switch here which brings your step out. Security lock goes over the hab door with the Fiamma red keys. However, never put this on when travelling, always put it on when you're leaving the vehicle, either stood up on the drive in the storage yard or on the pitch when you're going out for the day, but never put it on when travelling in case you can't get out the cab doors, you can get out the hab door. Don't block a door in case of an accident, so leave that off when travelling. External gas point, so instead of carrying a separate bottle to use your Kadak or external barbecue, it uses the bottle on board the vehicle. So it's fed from the main bottle, and all you've got to do is get a quick release connection which connects into here. Length of gas hose, Jubilee clips on either side to make it seal against a quick release connection and onto the barbecue. turn the tap on and you'll be able to get a flow of gas to your barbecue. And this is your gas locker. So I've got my test bottle on at the moment, which is 1 6 kilogram propane. It's very important that you run the vehicle off propane and not butane. Butane will freeze in the winter. Propane you can use all year round, and every motorhome is set up for propane because butane has a different pigtail. Put your bottle on, strap it top and bottom. I've only strapped the top, but there is a strap on the bottom as well because this bottle will be coming off. To connect, why is it upside down? So to connect the cylinder, what you need to do is this pipe here that runs from the regulator at the back of the gas locker to the bottle is known as the pigtail, and it's a thumb wheel pigtail, so you don't need a spanner to tighten the pigtail. You can do it all by hand. So it's left to tighten, right to loosen, so opposite ways with it being gas. So the gas thread's different, and you just nip it up until you can't turn it anymore. Turn the cylinder on 1 or 2 turns. Don't turn it all the way in case you need to isolate it quick. You can just quickly turn it 2 ways the other way and shut it off. Always make sure the gas bottle is isolated before you do start driving. So when you're doing your checks, before you leave your site, unhooking, putting your gas cover on, turn your bottle off, make sure everything's locked, the awning's put away properly. Just do make sure the bottle is switched off. Make sure it's tied in, and then once one bottle's empty, you can keep a spare at the back. You just need to disconnect the pigtail and connect it to the reserve bottle and exchange the bottle that's empty. At the passenger door here, you have your diesel fuel filling point. So using the main Peugeot key, it's lockable. You can unlock the cap and fill with fuel. Tyre pressures can be found on the passenger door slam panel. So 5 bar on the front axle, which is 72.3 psi, and 5.5 on the rear axle, which is 79.5. Underneath the passenger seat is where you'll find a toolkit in here. So this has got a jack, a brace, a tow eye, everything that you need to change that spare wheel. Engine battery is underneath this compartment in the floor. Not underneath the bonnet, it lives underneath the cab floor. So if you ever need to change that or put a charger on that or do anything with the engine battery, it's not under the bonnet, it's there. But the bonnet release is here. And underneath the bonnet, you've got your various fluids. So you've got your coolant, brake fluid, power steering fluid, screen wash, which is the main one you're going to need, engine oil, and your dipstick here, just for checking your levels, paint code, weight plate, so gross vehicle weight 3.5, mass in running order, so 2,850. So you would take the 3.5 away from the 2,850. That'll give you a payload, front and back axle weights, because that's what you run empty. And then you do have a positive point for giving or receiving a jump start here by the air filter, and a negative for giving or receiving a jump start. So black clip on there, red on there, and that'll jump start the motorhome if it's flat, or jump start another vehicle off the motorhome. So when you enter the vehicle, just beside the habitation door next to your step switch, you've also got a black 12 volt master kill switch. So you need to turn this on to allow any 12 volt panel and appliance to work. Without this on, you'll get no 12 volt in the vehicle because it's isolating the battery. However, it's handy when you want to store the vehicle to ensure that you don't get a power drain off your 12 volt leisure battery. You can turn this switch off. So this is your 12 volt control panel. So at the top there, it tells you the volt that's in your leisure battery at the moment. Take the hook out to get a true reflection of the charge in your leisure battery. And then when you press the middle switch here, as it says water on the bottom, you'll see how much water you've got in your freshwater tank. So there you've got about 1/4 of a tank of fresh water on board at the moment. Once you've got enough water, you can turn your pump on, which is here. But before any of that, you need to choose your battery. So which battery you want to use. So you've got vehicle battery, and you can view the vehicle battery level on the top there, or aux battery, which is the leisure battery, which is designed to be used the most. So always make sure it's on auxiliary, because you don't want to flatten your engine battery. And again, just flicking between the two, you can read the levels of the battery. You've got your water and you've got your pump. So make sure you've got enough water in before you turn your pump on, because you don't want to burn the pump out with no water on board. So starting off with your hot water system. So your hot water system are these two dials here. So you've got your gas, you've got your electric. Your electric is just a 230 volt fuse spur. So you've got to ensure that the switch is turned on, and it will heat the water automatically on mains hookup. If you haven't got any water on board, make sure you turn this off, so that when you hook the vehicle up, you're not going to burn the element out, as it's similar to boiling a kettle without any water in. You're just going to burn the element. But once you've got water in, you can heat it on electric, which you would do if you're on a site. If you're not on a site, you can heat it on gas, which is this dial here. The cover needs to come off the outside of the vehicle to allow the fumes out through the flue of the boiler. Otherwise, this little green light will show red. And it'll show red for one or two reasons. You've run out of gas, your gas bottle's still switched off, or you've left your cover on. But if you are heating it on gas when while camping, it's as simple as turning it down to the gas flame, selecting the temperature, so you can go all the way from 30 to 70 degrees. So you just turn this, and this will heat your 10 litres up in the boiler. By all means, you can have both on together. Should you be on a site and you're in desperate need of a shower or hot water, put both on and it will reduce the time it takes to heat the water. Above, you do have your electric heating. So your ultra heat on mains 230 volt. So this is a fuse spur as well, and this is the fuse spur for the heating. So you've got to have this on, because you've seen that the dial's gone out there. So once that's on, it'll send power to here, which is then your source selector and your temperature selector. So you've got on the O there, that's off. You've got 2000 watts, which is 2 kilowatts. 500 watts, which is half a kilowatt, or 1000 watts, which is 1 kilowatt. So depending on the amperage the site gives you will determine what source you use. Mainly on most sites throughout the UK, you can use 2. So 2 kilowatts, 2000 watts. And then on smaller CL sites, you may have to use 1000 or even 500 if you're abroad, because they're a little bit more stringent with their electric consumption. 1 to 9 is your room temperature. 9 is equivalent to 30 degrees, so you can set that to the optimum room temperature that you like by turning the black knob in the middle of the dial. So another way of heating the vehicle is heating it off gas, which is your Truma fire. So your fire works off gas this side. So if you're wild camping, or similar to the water, you're away in the winter and you don't want to sit in a cold van, you can put the electric and the gas on together, which will reduce the time it takes to heat the vehicle. And then once it's up to a temperature, you can turn the gas supply off and allow the electric to continue to heat the motorhome. Starting here, this is your 1 to 10 gas valve. So this is your selector of gas. So push down and press the piezo ignition in together, and then when you come back up, you'll see the flame there. It goes out, you hear it roar, and it's sprung into life, and it is operating on gas. This side, you've got a 12 volt assisted fan. So in this position, in the middle, it'll convect out the front, which will preserve your leisure battery when wild camping. So it will just heat gradually by pushing the heat out of here and working its way around the van by itself. However, you do have an automatic function which is where the fan works, and it'll blow it out the various ducts parts of the vehicle and the ducting pipe around the van until it reaches a temperature and it will stop. Or you can go this side, which is manual, and it'll just keep going, blowing it around the van until you knock it off, turn it down, but it will continue to give you that heat. 1 to 5 is just the fan speed of the 12 volt assisted fan. So on 5 you can hear it, turn it down, that's a little bit more quieter. So if you wanted to sleep, turn it down, don't have it on 5. And obviously this is manual, automatic, or should I say that's manual, that's automatic, and that is convecting out the front of the fire. And you do have your little viewpoint there to see that the flame is on, so just check. If you're worried that it's not lit, you can see here that the burner is on. So in the kitchen you do have 3 gas burners on the hob. So you've got 3 gas valves, and you use the ignition on the front of the oven there to light the hobs. You've got 1, 2 and 3. Once you've had them on, turn them off and allow them to cool before you put the glass lid down, because if it's still hot, putting the glass lid down is the worst thing you can do because it will shatter the glass. So allow it to go cool before you put the lid down. Underneath you do have a grill, and under the grill you've got the oven. Underneath the oven you've got some storage, but you've got 2, or should I say 3 gas valves. So fridge, hob and oven. Any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe, because you're isolating the main source then. But these are mainly for when the vehicle is annually serviced. A technician every year will turn off each appliance, test the gas readings and make sure your gas system is working as it should within the standards set by the National Caravan Council. Storage in here, but you've also got your filter for your water purifier even, which is just up here. So that's a cold water purifier. Making sure the pump's on, you've got hot water there. You can see the steam coming off the water, so that water is very hot. Push the side of the light and you've got your kitchen light. Cups, plates and your draining board. And some storage at the top. So this is how to operate the Majestic fridge. So the Majestic fridge works off 3 sources. So you've got off at the top. First setting you do have is mains 230 volt electric. So if you were on a site, you've put onto mains because you've paid for your electric as part of your fee. Or if you were at home and you were pre-chilling it, getting it ready for the trip that you're going on. Generally a few days before, you'll want to hook the van up anyway to charge your leisure battery. Also put your fridge onto mains electric when it's parked on the drive. It means the day before you can go off and put your shopping in and allow that to chill overnight. And then when you come to travel with food in and it's already been on and chilled and the shopping's down to temperature, you can put on the battery setting, which isn't off the leisure battery, it's a feed off your engine. So when the engine is switched on and running, it sends a 12 volt feed to the fridge, which keeps the shopping nice and cool when it's travelling. It won't get any warmer, but it won't get any cooler. It'll only maintain the temperature that it's previously been set at. And it just means it gives you time to run down the road with your shopping in, and then when you get back to your site or your next site, you can put back onto mains electric. Or if you're going wild camping where you don't have any source of power apart from gas, you turn it down to gas, which is the bottom one there, and to light the gas, this is your temperature. Turn your temperature right the way up, press ignite, and you want the orange band to go into the green. Once it's into the green, you can let go, and this is lit on gas. Like I say, this is your temperature selector, so when pre-chilling, have it on full. When you've put your shopping in, turn it down, because sometimes it can freeze the shopping. You've got a lock for when travelling, unlock it. And then when you are storing the vehicle, it's very important that you wipe the fridge out, leave nothing in, and leave the door open. So you can either just leave the door open like this as it is, and the air will circulate in and out because it's got a rubber seal on it, will trap the air and cause smells. Or what you can do is you can lock the travel catch and rest it against the frame of the fridge, and the door won't close, because it can't close because it's not latching in the middle. But make sure you clean it out. Any parts for your fridge, there's a sticker on the back there which has got all the details that we would need for parts for this fridge. In your wardrobe, you've got your Vision Plus TV amplifier and your aerial. So should you have any problems getting a signal, this is showing that we've got a signal because it is green. If it was orange, you've got a signal but a weak signal, so start off with the booster and try amplifying the signal. If it's red, you probably need to adjust the aerial, so you need to loosen this nut off, push this stem up. It's a large aerial, and you can use the toggle on the bottom to direct the aerial, and it will just lean it from side to side until you get a good enough signal, and that changes to green. Before travelling, always pull it into the van and tighten the nut so that the wind can't get between the roof and the aerial and snap the aerial. But that's showing green there, so you've got a good enough signal, but you can adjust the booster. If it's pixelating when it's on green, just try turning it down, because it might be too strong on the amplifier. Because there you see I've turned it down and it's red. Turn it to max, goes to orange and then to green. But sometimes you can be too close to a signal and you can cause interference by having the booster on max. Coming in the back, you've got your bed, another TV point or bracket, TV aerial, 12 volt, which is the old style 12 volt with the 2 pins, and a 230 volt socket. But if you were getting tellies, I would recommend 12 volt tellies, because they'll work if you are hooked up or not, as they run off your leisure battery opposed to mains voltage. Extra worktop space there for when you're in the kitchen, which also folds up and forms a bit of a bulkhead between the kitchen and the bedroom. Storage underneath, which you can't access from outside. To turn your ceiling lights on, they're both individually switched, so you've got a switch on this one and the one in the front lounge as well. Your readers are individually switched in the bedrooms, they've got rocker switches on there. You've got storage around the top. Washroom sink, which is in the bedroom. So there, your water's getting warm as well out of the washroom sink, with a toiletry cabinet beneath. That is your toilet light, which takes you into the toilet. So starting off with operating the Thetford toilet. So your blue button here is your flush from your header tank, which we explained from outside the van. So you get your pink flush. Always put a little bit of water in there first before you use it, and then before you use it you want to open the blade. So on the side of the toilet you've got a grey lever. You want to slide that towards you. You'll hear the ventilation because the SOG's now kicked in, because it's got a SOG fitted. Use the toilet, flush it after use, and once you've flushed it you always want to get into a habit of closing this blade. It seals the cassette, and that means if the cassette indicates that it's full, which it will with the red light here, you can pull it straight out the side of the van. Whereas if that was left open, it won't come out the van because the mechanism is holding the cassette underneath the toilet. Toilet roll holder, shelf, towel rail. Shower curtain comes right the way around. And when winterizing, it's very important that you unscrew the shower head from the hose. Pull this hose off the stand here and lie it down in the shower tray, because any water could sit in this little kink here and cause any damage, and you'd leave your mixer tap open. Be careful with what you clean the shower tray out with, because it is just plastic, so no harsh chemicals, no harsh scourers or abrasive products. Fairy up liquid is good enough. Dettol spray and just wipe it out. No bleach or anything, because it'll discolour the finish of the white plastic and it'll go to a creamy looking and it'll look awful, whereas it's brilliant white at the moment. So to make the front sofas into a bed, you use your backrests in the middle and put them on top of the table. So this table isn't a factory table. The last owner has invested in this table and it's a freestanding, so put it in the centre and drop it down and put your cushions on the top. When not using this table, you can store it underneath the bed, or if you aren't using it as a foreberth all the time, I would leave that at home, as it is quite a big table to carry around with you. But you do have your little freestanding table which is stored in here, which can be used at the front or outside on a nice day. Under your bench seat behind the driver's seat, just next to the kitchen, you have the location of where your boiler is. So this is your Truma boiler. Heats your 10 litres of hot water up at any one time, but it does store 10 litres of cold water in. And it's very important that in the winter months you allow the water out. So what you need to do is you need to come in without the pump on, and you need to lift this yellow toggle, and this will drain the boiler down of all water. So you can hear the water leaving the van. It will drain it all the way out and leave that stood up during the time you've got the van stored away in the winter to avoid the water from freezing. And then when you come to reuse it in the springtime, when we're not experiencing frost anymore, just flick it down so it's in this position here. Fill the vehicle with water and prime it through the taps. So you want to turn the tap on with the pump on the hot side, it will cough and splutter until it fills this up with 10 litres. Push all the air out of the tap until you get a pressurised flow. But it's good practice that when you've opened the valve and winterised it, you open all the taps within the van, open your freshen your waste outside and remove your shower head from your shower hose to allow the water to drain down, so that it's nice and safe and secure and there's no water left within the vehicle. Because if you do leave water within the vehicle and it freezes, you're looking at a very costly repair bill. So allow all the water out and make sure that you lift the yellow toggle up on your boiler to drain it out. Moving just further down behind the driver's seat, if you lift the cupboard door off the front of the face of the seat, you've got your power supply unit. So you've got all your 12 volt fuses here, so do carry some spares just in case a 12 volt fuse does blow. You can replenish it. And you do have your main trip tester and your trips here. So if you're struggling for power, try here before you try your main site. If you still think that you're not receiving power, the best way to do it is by tripping it. So press the blue button here, trip the vehicle. If the vehicle trips, you've got power. If it doesn't trip, you're not receiving power.